Hey everyone, Jack from Fantasy Scan here. Welcome to this week's episode of Versus. Before we get started, I just want to say please remember to leave a like and subscribe. We're trying to get this up to 10 likes. It shouldn't be that hard, but I feel like we should be able to do it. And we're also trying to get up to 100 subscribers before the season starts. So if you guys could please get on that, that would be amazing. Help us meet our goal so we can keep making content for you guys. Alright, but we're talking about Joe Mixon versus James Conner here. Both of these guys kind of had pretty big breakout seasons. Taking a look at James Conner first. The dude finished with 225 fantasy points in 13 games. So that averages out to being about 17.3 points per game. Now that's higher than most people that were in the league last year because he finished 7th in fantasy points already in running backs. But that stat is bigger than Ezekiel Elliott's from last year. James Conner averaged more points a game than Zeke did. Now looking at Joe Mixon, he put up 200 points in 14 games. So Joe Mixon is someone who I actually like a lot just because of the talent and the skill level that I see and the consistent points and what he is in that offense. He's obviously their lead back, and if there's anything that's going to happen on that team, because the Bengals are a very sorry team right now, it's going to be running through Mixon. It's not going to be running through A.J. Green anymore because Andy Dalton isn't going to be able to throw it to him. And A.J. Green's also injured half the year anyway, so Mixon's numbers are going to be really high. Consistency for Mixon was really there the last end of the season. I want to look at his numbers here from week 10 on. Every single week past then, he put up good numbers. Not like flex starter type numbers, but like good RB2 type numbers. I know that he didn't get up to 10 points a couple times, like 3 times in that stint, but he still was able to put up a lot of points and consistently keep people in their games, which is really all you can ask for from running backs. Out of all the games the Bengals won last year, which really isn't much, but Mixon scored 15 points or above in every single one of those games except for one. So it's pretty obvious that this offense, if they're going to do well, is going to run through Mixon. So I'm expecting an even greater workload for him coming into the 2019 season. So looking at Conner's week-to-week performances, you can see he really busted onto the scene and kind of didn't stop for a while. He had a couple games where he put up 29, 30, 24, 32. He was just kind of that guy last year. He was really hit or miss in whether or not he was going to do well, and the consistency only really got there like near the end of the year, and even then, he missed the last couple games. The running game for the Steelers should be sticking around to where it was last year. I really don't see them going away from it because they already had a pretty balanced attack between having Big Ben throw to Juju and then having Conner on the ground. So now I want to talk about their respected offenses and how much volume I think that they have. Because if their team is only going to be scoring 2 touchdowns a week, odds are your player is not going to be scoring a touchdown every single week. And it's already pretty obvious who we give the edge to here, and that's Conner. Mixon only really has A.J. Green and Andy Dalton in his offense. Maybe Tyler Boyd too, but even then they don't have the quarterback to really distract him enough to where they feel comfortable enough to be able to throw down the field that far. And that doesn't really open up the running game as much as they would like. While Conner, on the other hand, has Juju Smith-Schuster, James Washington, Big Ben throwing him the ball, and Vance McDonald catching at the tight end position. And not to mention the Steelers are kind of a competitor and the Bengals just aren't. So looking at this choice, it really is a little bit easier than most people would think it would be. I would just go with James Conner just because the offense has way more potential to do better. Conner also had a really high average points per game, which makes me believe that if he can stay healthy, he can actually be one of the elite runners in the league, or at least make a push to where he is going to be put into that question. Although I still feel like Joe Mixon is a really solid, possibly RB1 type of guy. If you have him RB2, you'd feel fantastic. But he's been consistently putting up points as well, along with Conner, and both these guys are really good options for you to draft. So I wouldn't be too worried about whichever one you come to. But in this type of situation, because I've run into it a lot during mock drafts and all that stuff, I would go James Conner just because of the possibility of points. He has a higher ceiling than Mixon does at this current year. But if we're talking Dynasty League, it's a whole other question that I really don't want to get into right now because that's going to add another 10 minutes onto this video. But I do really like both of them. They're both young players. They've both really been able to just consistently score points, which I'm just a huge fan of because you just need that in fantasy football. You need to know what your guys are going to be bringing to the table. You can't just have someone who you feel is going to be somewhat questionable and you throw them in a starting position not knowing whether you're going to get 20 points or like 5. So that does it for this verses. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. Check out us on social media and Instagram, and we will see you guys later.